the work, you can see his work on the walls over here. He's produced the posters for many years. Sadly, we lost Brian this year, early on, and we really felt that absence, I think, during this process. And we talked about what we could do to celebrate Brian's achievement and contribution. And the feeling was that a Brian Jordan Prize should be awarded. And for me, this is a very moving moment, and I think for everybody on the committee. And I know that Brian's family are here to present this prize. So if I could ask Darren Jordan to come forward, who's Brian's son. And Tim will briefly come forward, and Tim McMullen, if I might introduce Tim McMullen, as well as Darren. Please come forward, Darren. Tim McMullen is he's a wonderful man who got the ball rolling on this, and has seen it rolling for some years now and seen things through, and given us a tremendous amount of support, particularly at times when we think it's all too complicated, it's all too difficult. Tim's always been there, and it's very important to have a man in the office, and Tim's been that for us. So I'll hand you over to Tim McMullen to speak a little bit about Brian. Thank you.
Well, as Byron said, this is a moving moment for those of us that knew Brian, and for those of us that were fortunate enough perhaps to know him well. Brian was already an outstanding visual arts coordinator at Maris Cogra and a key member of their pastoral team when in 1999 we decided to set up this religious art exhibition for the first time. And he was a foundation member of that committee. Those of you that might have come to previous presentations such as this may well have seen him, may well have met him. And over the next 8 exhibitions, he provided inspiration and vision to the committee. I think the committee members over that time would agree that in many ways he was their muse, and he was also their elder statesman. And he produced all of these 8 beautiful posters. I hope if you haven't seen them, you get the chance to see them later in the night. He did the first one, and we said that's just what we're looking for. He did the second one, and I expressed great surprise, and he chuckled and he said, "It's a bit on the postmodern side, Tim, you probably wouldn't understand." And by the third one, he got back to the kind of style of art that I could understand and recognise as art. I spent years puzzling over those lands, and whenever I said that to Brian, he always seemed to see a funny side that I couldn't quite see. Since about 2003, as Byron's already mentioned, 2003, the year of September 11 and all that, Brian said, "Look, we've got too many artworks coming through that are about the tormented Jesus, that are about gloom and suffering." Now that, of course, could be just a function of the angst of the teenagers at the time, that's where they are, I suppose, in their life journey, using the term loosely. But he said, let's try and focus more on the tender and the compassionate Jesus. And if you look at the bottom 4 posters, you'll see how he's trying to move it that way. My favourite one of those posters is the red one, the Rachamim poster, and the word literally means tenderness. And Brian did quite a bit more work on that, and part of that is in this little artwork and card, from which I'm going to read some of the poetry that this multifaceted man was able to write. And just listen to this and how it picks up that notion of the tender and compassionate Jesus, and hopefully the tender and compassionate spirit in all of us. It's called My Covenant, My Agreement, My Contract. The gentle breeze touches my face. It gently moves the leaves as a small child smiles in innocent delight. A momentary glimpse of the passing God. Let tenderness be your name. Rachamim, tenderness. Well, in the years 2004, 05 and early 06, he developed these ideas further and did a lot of professional development work, both with teachers at CEO and Services and also with student teachers here at ACU. I think Brian probably, in his teaching, reached a kind of high point in those years. So that last year and early this year, when he became sick, very sick, those who knew him were filled with grief, and he passed away early in February this year. And as Byron mentioned, we've named the second prize after him to keep the memory of his contribution to this religious art exhibition. Darren, his son, has kindly agreed, I hope to say a few words and to present this second prize. But just before I pass over to Darren, and I'd like to acknowledge that Brian's wife Bev is here and Brian's daughters. I'd just like to quote a little bit more from Brian's writings, very brief, but just please listen and focus. If we nurture the illumination of a single candle, we will watch it engulf the darkness of the world. And some final words: do not demand explanations, be gently led, explore the possibilities, and embrace the mysteries. Brian Jordan, RIP.
Mind is instrumental to his thoughts and philosophies on the world and his place in it. And they are belief and creativity. My father dwelt long and wrote much about his unique perspective on religion and the power of ritual. His roles as teacher, coordinator and leader of pastoral care were all informed by his belief in the inherent goodness of people and the importance of understanding others rather than judging them. His approach toward leading others was informed by his belief in the teachings of Christ and affinity with the example of men like Marcel Champagne. Equally important to my father was his life as an artist, for it was his belief that the act of creation was, in many ways, a form of prayer. By creating, by bringing into the world something beautiful that was not there before, we unlock doors within ourselves and give release to the divine spirit that we all house inside. Everyone has their own unique and personal way of understanding the world and their place in it. The path my father took to find his place and understand his way was through art making. It is no wonder then that this exhibition was showing possibilities of what religion is and means through all the aspects of our lives. My father felt strongly that art should make people think. If someone saw a work and weren't sure what it meant, that would hope it would encourage them to think, talk, discuss and imagine. He felt that to be much more powerful than anything else. And I hope you get a sense of his achievements through viewing the religious art posters here tonight, proudly on display in tribute to him and his work. It is gratifying to me that there is another tribute to him here tonight, that of a prize being gifted with his name. He was an inspiration to me and my family, to his students and his work colleagues. Through his superb art, I know his images have touched and inspired many more. It is my fervent hope that my father's example and the prize that bears his name will go on to inspire many others long into the future. He leaves a legacy of love, belief and creativity, and I hope that provides a guiding light for others to follow for many years to come. I'm very, very proud to ask Coen Young to come forward as the first winner of the Brian Jordan Award.
Thank you very much, Darren. That was a very moving moment, I think, for everybody, and for those of you, Brian, it was certainly quite inspirational. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to add one last note to that, that there's a term which is in danger of extinction. That's the term gentleman, and Brian truly was a gentleman. You know, to know the man was to understand what that term meant. He was truly a wonderful man. So thank you very much for lending your father's name to this trust. We're very proud of that.